Good morning, everybody. Welcome out to Board Game Breakfast here on the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm
Roy Candy.
I failed. I'm Wendy Yee.
I've never understood why Tom decided that we would do a counterclockwise order.
Right, because we always play in clockwise.
Right. But that
It's
being
confusing.
said, you still messed up, Wendy.
Sorry.
All right, welcome out to Board Game Breakfast this week. We are having what's going to feel like a normal week. Tom will be out
What?
for the latter part of it, but
A normal week.
I know we have a few normal weeks.
But for all of you, you won't know. It'll be seamless. That's the plan.
Right, that's the plan here. However, we do have the retreat coming up in a few weeks, so we're going to be out, but we have a plan so that there'll still be content going up during the retreat week. But more importantly, right now, Dice Tower West registration has been opened up, and so if you want to come to one of my favorite board game conventions, and it has been even before I started working here, so now I get to sound like a shill.
Home sweet home, baby.
You can go to dicetowerwest.com and you can register for Dice Tower West is held in Las Vegas. Annually, it's going to be March 6th through 10th this year. What do you guys like about West?
I just really enjoy, honestly, all of the Dice Tower events is mostly just about playing games. I love the exhibitor stuff that we have at West because there's a lot of really cool exhibitors. And one of my favorite things is the fact that it's on the West Coast for us and we live on the East Coast now. We get to see so many different people that we normally don't see when we go to our conventions over here. So it's just really cool to see the board gaming community on the West Coast is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I haven't been to West in the last couple of years because I don't travel out there for that. But before coming to the Dice Tower, I really enjoyed West because there were just some really cool people that come in, just some really good friends that I've created over the years from there. So
We're excited to meet you there. Yeah. So that's one of the best parts. But I mean, there's also you can watch the vlog and see that there was different things. We're trying to make each event like a little bit different. So there was like a paint and take room at West. There were several live shows that were done, the really large auditorium size there. So there's a couple of cool things. So make sure to sign up for that, dicetowerwest.com. And then also, this is exciting news for many people I know, the next iteration of the Dice Tower audio show, At the Table with the Dice Tower, is going to go up, the premiere tomorrow. So if you can, I believe you can go to the old Dice Tower podcast RSS feed, and then you'll be able to listen to new episodes. It's going to be Tom Vassell, that guy, Eric Summerer, and Julie Ahern are going to be the three co-hosts together. Julie, if you don't know her, she's fantastic. I look forward to you getting to know her if you're not familiar. She works currently over at Van Ryder Games. So she's very knowledgeable, very fun personality. So make sure to go check that out. If you've missed the audio content, that's a great way to do it. But also other audio content can be found at
Dice Tower Video, DTVA, Dice Tower Video Audio. There you go. Google that.
Yeah, DTV Audio, right? So that's where we take some of our shows here and some of our reviews and turn that into a podcast format. And also, if you like quick reviews, sometimes we'll do those like pile of games or rapid fire roundups or multiple reviews in one. What we do with some of those is we chop them up and we put them onto our secondary channel that used to be the unboxing channel. We've now repurposed that over to Dice Tower Encore.
Right.
So there you can see quick, shorter reviews of lots of different games. We still want to cover lots of different ones, but also we're trying to make the amount of videos on this feed here manageable.
Yeah.
It also keeps everything searchable, so you'll still be able to find those games if they don't show up in a big review. You can search them on YouTube.
We recently had a comment on one of those 7 things, like, how are people supposed to find this review if it's just titled one thing and there's a whole bunch of different reviews in it? Well, the Encore channel, since you ask. So
yeah, exactly. We've been doing that for a few weeks and it's been working out. Say if you're in a game store and you're like, I wonder if anyone's reviewed this game, you can still search it, find a quick 1 to 2 minute review of it. So make sure to go check out the Dice Tower Encore channel. With all that
was a lot.
covered, yeah.
Let's start breakfast.
Let's start.
All right, so we're talking about our eye catchers. These are mostly just things that we found on the internet in the board gaming community that we wanted to talk about. So for me, my eye catcher this week is actually going to be the Our Family Plays Games Kickstarter. I love Our Family Plays Games. They were part of a bunch of different stuff that we did, but then also they've done tons of amazing things, and I just really enjoy their content. Megan Starlet are hilarious, and Grant does all of their editing and stuff. It's really cool because they're a board game media channel that it's very much just about family, and it's a whole family doing it. I just love all of their content. So make sure to go check out their stuff. They have a lot of really cool incentives for you to back them. But the main incentive for back them is just helping them create amazing content. And I just love what they do for the community. And it's just really cool to see that they're having this and being successful with it. And it's just get out there and check out Our Family Plays Games.
That's
Their stuff's
exciting.
great.
Yep.
I've been friends with them for a long time. It's just really cool to see that they're doing even more new hot things. And they have a Catan promo.
I was really surprised about that. Yeah, so I mean, they have different pledges. You can also pledge for no reward.
Clank!
They have 2 promo packs, right, which I find pretty cool here. Star Realms, Power Plants, Books of Time, and Clank. And then the second one here, this promo pack, Catan.
I love that their stuff. It's very much just about how these games work with the family, and it's just so fun. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely make sure to check out Our Family Plays Games.
Yeah, they're very genuine people, and so there's the different pledge levels and everything. So, very cool, man. Wendy,
that's fun.
What's your eye catcher?
My eye catcher is Nucleum. This is one I was really excited to see at Gen Con, and you know what? I never made it over to the booth when it wasn't packed. That booth was always busy, but it's one I'm still very excited about. So it's going to be a heavy Euro game. It's by Tashini and Turksy, the other guy. It's funny because I was reading it, and I'm terrible at history, and so I was going over the description. I was like, this isn't real history, right? Nuclear reactors discovered and made in Germany, heating water, whole thing. So I guess it's got this whole historical alternate past kind of thing. So it's early 19th century. There's, you still have railways and stuff, but they've created nuclear power. And so you're trying to create these railways to get the uranium to your cities to power everything, to all the technology that's been made with it. So it looks really cool. It looks really exciting. Now you did get to look at it, right, Chris?
I did get a little demo of it, yeah. And this is the Gen Con demo table of it, actually. You can actually see that in the Gen Con vlog. I don't remember what day it was. Gen Con's a big blur. It was in the past. But what's interesting about it is across the top of your, across the top of your action board, you see how there's those action sticks there?
Yeah.
It does a mechanism that I really enjoy, right, where you can play out actions as many as you want, and then you can take a turn where you pass and pull them all back, which, I don't know, a game or two has done that very well. But then you can also, instead, you can get new of those action sticks because on the back side of them are railroad tracks. And so you can place them out onto the board, and then that's how you build up the railroads is you sacrifice action tiles. And if you do color matching, you get bonuses when you do it. So it sounds really neat. I like that.
You're just convincing me more that I want to play this, Chris.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Also, there's something about those boards where they have everything laid out. I really like how Board and Dice does a lot of their player boards because they're well laid out, and so it usually makes the game very easy to teach, very easy to play. And so you get to enjoy the crunchiness instead of the fiddliness of some heavier games. So I like that.
See that green one right there? That's a nuclear power plant.
That's uranium,
See
baby.
that other one? Coal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ooh.
Yep. Theme.
We don't want to use coal.
Yeah, I think thematically, the fictionalized historical part of this is that it took place 50 years too soon.
Very possible. Very possible. All right, Chris, what's yours?
I'm very excited about that one. My eye catcher this last week, Z showed this off to us.
Oh yeah.
And I thought this was
cool.
really neat, right? It is a ticket to ride, or this is a train game board map generator that this
What
guy
is
put
that
together here.
loop-de-loop?
What do you mean?
It looks like a big loop-de-loop.
It's a hyperloop.
It's a hyperloop.
Oh my goodness.
So you click on this, you get to
Train
see this in action, and you can select any country or you can just select any general boundaries that you want. So if you've ever wanted a Ticket to Ride compatible map of Madagascar, you can change a few settings in here. You can say, do you want it to be a smaller map or
Are we
lots of tracks and
transporting
stuff?
vanilla around?
That is where vanilla comes from. You're
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so
But
you
it'll
can,
actually generate it for you.
Yeah, so it'll place the cities in there. What I can't tell, I don't know if this uses actual like train track type connections and stuff.
It might just put some stuff across a...
across a general like, good enough type of a thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, you can just create your own map.
I do seriously doubt Madagascar has that many. I mean, I could be wrong.
I don't know. Yeah, I wonder what
that would be a ton of hubs.
Right. What's the train system over there? You can then go in, and if you want, you can add and delete tracks. If you're like, that doesn't exist in real life, or you can.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so you can modify it too. But it does select the cities, right? And then tries to, or the towns and things like that, and tries to like connect them.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
You can add cities too if you're like.
This new city exists.
Yeah, this new city
Chris's
exists.
Nucleumville, where the nuclear power plant was invented in Madagascar.
Yeah, that's Nucleum Town over there. Then you can go through and create new tracks into the middle of nowhere and stuff. You can change those tracks so that like
they're different colors.
You can make them doubles. You can make them different colors.
So you can really nail it down however you want.
Yeah, you can make them. Where's the other one? Boat line, right? So that you require. Oh wow, that's from the Rails and Sails one. Mm-hmm. So like, it's really neat. You can customize the shape too, the curvature.
Can you add stocks? Like in Pennsylvania?
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be fun if you got the little stock.
It does give you all the ticket cards as well for all the different. It generates those for you.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
here, view and edit tickets. So you can do like the different types of options for that. That some of them have like the long routes and the big cities and stuff. This is really
So is this
neat.
just open source, or is this just something free, or what is? How do people get this?
I just Google search ticket to ride map generator. And then this guy's thing came up.
Hey.
So yeah, I mean, he's got the whole story explaining it here. I thought this was just wildly interesting.
That's really cool.
And then you can take these, of course, and then you could gussy them up if you want with nicer art or whatever. But also, this is very serviceable, I think, to just have like a cool custom Z-made one of Cuba. Because he's like, I wonder what that would look like. He pulled it up, and he's like, I would almost be interested enough to like print this out,
print
just
it and
kind of
play
see
it.
it, you know?
That's cool. That's way cool.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's been our eye catchers for the week. We're going to jump to some contributors and be back with our top 10.
Ooh, what are you reading there, Tarrant?
This is the Lord of the Rings adventure book. It's got rounded cardboard edges for my safety.
Well, that is the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. This is the third one. After the first one, The Princess Bride, second one, Wizard of Oz. And here we are. This is basically a cooperative game that is also a storytelling, and each chapter represented by a page spread in the book.
Yeah, it's a simple little co-op, not too many actions. It's kind of a movement puzzle co-op where you've got to mine the deck for cards as well. And each of the pages of the book represents a different part of the movie, or the books if you are a classic, to tell the story through. And yeah, they're all quite simple, but you're meant to play them all in sequence and save as you go, or just play them in one session.
It's really fun. I mean, you don't have to be a fan, but it really helps if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, the movie and the book. And it comes with unpainted minis, but me and my friend Henry has started painting. This is like a quick one, like one mini is probably about 10-15 minutes. So enhance the gaming experience, obviously.
Yes.
Have you played any of the adventure books? Let us know, and hopefully you enjoy that. And I'm Stella, and this is Taryn from Maple University. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye!
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on an IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today, we're looking at The Boys, This Is Gonna Hurt. You're going to draw a Homelander card at the beginning of each turn, and something negative will happen. Then you will spend your 3 actions to move around the board, recruiting beta or alpha characters by fighting them. You have to pay the cost, and you have to roll dice in excess of their hit points to add them to your team. Once you have enough hit points, or you feel like you have enough dice, you go to the center to pay him $30 million and roll against Homelander in order to defeat him. The best way to talk about the IP and the mechanisms and whether they match in respect to this game is that, yes, in The Boys, you're trying to build a superhero team and you want to go fight Homelander. How you do that isn't the most interesting, and that you're having these constant fights with superheroes, and if you beat them, they join you, and now you have a stronger team, and rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. There are times where the cards, which are unbalanced, some are just clearly better than others as you're going through, but they're all in the service of building this team because you want to go fight Homelander. It's kind of weird that you get these beta, and then once you have a good team of betas, it's like, now I need to replace them with alphas. So it feels like two halves that are the same, but you have to do it twice in order to get to the end game. You could have just cut out the betas altogether and just had alphas. I think that would have worked better. But I see what they're going for with the source material. Now, some of the humor or the gross material isn't necessarily in this game. So a lot of people, I think, watch The Boys for that. You're gonna find some of that in here, but not a lot of it. They tamed it down quite a bit for the board game experience, but some of it's still here. It's the IP and the mechanisms match. Yeah, I guess this is about what you can expect. It's a mediocre show. It's a mediocre comic series that uses, off the wall things for attention. The board game does the same thing. So they are a lot alike. Is it a great board game? Absolutely not. Is it a fun romp of beating up your friends and Homelander? Yeah, it works in that respect, but just kind of know what you're going into. It fits the IP, but I don't know if it fits the description of a good game.
Whoops, I should let that play.
We are on to the top 10. We didn't have an intro, did we?
We should have.
That was the little.
Are we going to shoot it now?
Bum,
No.
bum, 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 bum,
bum.
And it's the top 10.
Hey, it's time for the top 10. Yay!
Bum, 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 bum.
So this is where we create a top 10 together, and then you're going to help us with the number 1. So go ahead and share all your thoughts and answers. But this is top 10 ways that board games should be more like video games. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my number 1, and this is idle animations. You know how in video games where you set the controller down because you got to run use the bathroom or grab a bowl of cereal or something, and you come back and your characters are just chilling, they're hanging out, they're doing whatever. Wouldn't it be so cute if you're playing this little Euro game and your meeples got bored and so they sat down and they started whittling a new meeple? That would be adorable. I would love it.
Almost sounds like cannibalism.
No, they're making new meeples, not eating new
Sounds
meeples.
inappropriate.
Little Stone Age.
Family
up in
friendly,
here.
Wendy.
If I had my meeple that was waving at me hey, I'm here, take your action. Sounds adorable.
I would like it if it would fuss at the people who are taking extra long turns. Go already!
So
Exactly.
you want the meeple. You don't want it to be actual figures or miniatures or anything. You still want it to be a meeple, but then move. So weird.
Well, mine are mostly meeples.
So weird.
Blood Rage minis, just
Yeah.
actually
Exactly.
stabbing each other.
I think that happens in the video game
They
versions
sharpen
of some
their
of these
swords.
games.
I took a different
Shing,
approach
shing. Okay.
to this.
What was your
topic.
thoughts?
I think Roy, you're up.
Oh,
next.
my next one is extremely long tutorials in games. This is where it's what you'd want in a game.
That's
A lot
the
of these are
approach I
very-
took.
A lot of these are very
the-
negative, But yeah, like Final Fantasy games where it's the tutorial's forever. If you're just playing through this tutorial, it's is it ever gonna end? So.
It's actually why I have not played Everdell on the app. I downloaded the app a year ago on the
Right.
way to Gen Con, and I could not sit through the tutorial. I was I'm done. I'm over it. I've never played this game before.
Highlight, please
I'm done.
play this card. Now play this card. Now roll the die. Well, we're gonna pretend you got a 6.
Don't actually have fun. You rolled a 6.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, the number 8 way that I think that board games could be more like video games is that board game publishers could license out their IPs towards third-party educational games.
Ooh.
Oh.
Who doesn't want?
Oh my goodness.
Typing through the stars.
So as you're typing in rhythm, your tech tree's increasing
Yeah,
or your
exactly.
armies grow. You're I have to type 7 sentences to be able to create this
Type 7
character
sentences.
to
You
put
get
on the
an
board.
extra activation token. Then you can move your fleet.
You
my
can't spell
goodness.
extra activation token without 4x.
Exactly.
I was a nerd. I had Mavis Beacon typing, and I actually really enjoyed it.
I had Mario
thought it
Teaches
was fun.
typing.
That
by
sounds
the-
way cooler.
Oh, it was. I didn't have it. My school had it. I got to play it once.
I worked
How
with
many
That
this.
was a core memory.
How many times did you have to type Wahoo?
I worked with this kid with autism that had Lion King, and that was really fun.
Lion King teaches
Lion
typing.
King, yeah, they were eating bugs. Timon and Pumbaa would eat bugs for every letter. You'd have
See,
these
I
little
should
bugs
play these
crawl up.
games because I'm
It was
still
very cute.
type.
All right.
Okay.
Wendy?
Well, my number, I don't know what number we're on, but mine is save points. So my daughter's playing Kingdom Hearts right now, and I'll tell you what, it's terrible. The save points are sometimes 10 minutes apart or 3 hours apart. So that's clearly what we need in games is we need save points that are terribly dispersed. See, I can be negative too.
All right.
Okay, for me, flip it up there so that way I can. Oh, if every time you make a suboptimal move, you get a game over screen. It's like, oh, you misstepped, you fell off the cliff. Nope, oh, you took a loan too early, game over.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
you put your meeple in that place, game over. It's like, game over screens everywhere.
I'm so glad that
gosh.
games have passed beyond that.
You're playing Ticket to
Goodness.
Ride. You're
Instant
like,
kill.
Give me a red card. You died.
or like, what could be the worst? I'll take one more ticket.
It just, that's all it says. Game over.
We'll get up next time, boss.
All right.
Mission fail.
Number 5. I think that board game should have a nice 20-minute mandatory update before you can play an old game.
There you go.
Yeah, nothing
Yes.
quite as exciting as
I mean,
that.
this is kind of how Stonemeyer games work. Oh, too soon.
Oh. That is what it's like getting back into a legacy game, though. If you've taken a break and you're like, I've just spent like the next 30 minutes trying to figure out where we're at in the storyline.
We're on
I
the
can see
story.
that.
Okay, wait. How many stickers have we?
What mechanisms
Yeah,
have we unlocked?
What sticker sheets do we have access to but
Yes.
have not yet used?
Yes.
All right, Wendy.
Okay, what's my next one? My next one is hints and tips. You know how in like a Bejeweled game, it like makes the little cute little things shake when they're like, hey, here's an option over here. Like that would be great during when you've got someone that's got really bad AP and they're just staring at this board and they're like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, over here, here's an option, take this action. It's probably like the least optional, like optimal move, but it's a possibility. Just take a turn.
See, that's what I do when I just yell at people. Go already!
I was thinking 5
People don't
tribes.
find that helpful for
You know,
some
in 5
reason.
tribes, you're like sitting there and you're staring at the board and you're like, my meeple could go, I could drop them off this way or this way or this way or this way. I don't know what to do. And then the game's just like, you should grab these 3. Grab these 3. They're right here.
That would bug
Take
the
this turn.
bananas out of me. I was like, I don't want to do that one.
And I said, depending on who you're playing
be
with, this
terrible.
could happen anyway. People are like, well, you could do this. Keep your mouth shut.
Yes.
All right. Roy, number 3.
My last one here is the worst of all, microtransactions. I'm looking at you, Lorcana, but anyway. But yeah, if
Those
you're
are
playing a game.
macro-transactions.
I know, not quite the same. It's major transactions. But if you're playing a game, it's like, oh man, everybody else is playing on an even playing field, but this player is like, oh, let me spend a little bit extra money and get a few extra resources and a special ability. Oh, now my meeple has an alternate skin. You know, that sort of thing would be terrible in a video game stuff over to board games. But yeah, keep that stuff out of my board games.
Oh man, that's like an alternate sculpt stretch goal on a Kickstarter.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
Terrible.
But
The,
you get, if you have the blue one, you get to have an extra card in your hand.
ooh, ooh.
That's a Star Wars Rebels thing, right? Is it
Rivals.
Rivals.
Yeah, you get the hologram. You get the extra card. All right. The number 2, you could have expansions take so long to release that you need the new edition of the base system just to play it. Here's looking at you, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I refuse to buy a
goodness.
PS5 to play a stupid remake of a game I've already played 8 times.
You know we're going to do it, though.
I'm not buying a PS5.
Hey,
mean-
who wants to buy us a PS5?
I mean, maybe when they're in like the discount bin
Oh, my
at the
goodness.
back of the Radio Shack.
Yes, when they're
Right.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Speaking of
If
cheaper,
you could find a
our,
Radio Shack, holy smokes.
speaking of cheaper, our number 1, Richard Saunders right there. $60 games when they come out, but they get cheaper as time goes on. Oh, wait. We already have that. That's my winner. That's my winner right there.
That's your number 1
That's
choice.
my number 1. Oh,
Dun,
wait.
dun, dun.
Board games are like video games. Thanks, Richard.
Or you could just have those perfect evergreens that just never get cheaper.
That's true. That's true. Or you just have to keep buying new systems, so the games don't actually get cheaper because they don't work anymore.
All right, well, there you go.
So sad. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our next contributors.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen the Board Game Librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with my segment From the Page to the Table, where I pair books and board games together that share a common theme. This week we're taking a look at Mrs. Houdini by Victoria Kelly. This book follows Bess Houdini in a dual storyline of sorts, where it's 3 years after Harry Houdini has died, and she is still attempting to contact him. The rest of the book starts with them meeting, and it kind of goes through moments in their life up to when Houdini dies. A very well-researched book, but it is quite fictional in some of the things that it's talking about, especially with the modern storyline. So we are really big Unmatched fans in our house, so I'd like to thank Restoration Games for sending us Houdini and the Genie, the new sets. You can play Unmatched with any kind of combination that you have. It could be any of the Marvel sets or any of the more Take It From Stories sets or history. But I think that Unmatched has a lot for everyone to play. Now, we really like it just as 2 players, although I know there are some folks who enjoy it with 3 or 4, but we really have a blast just going back and forth, picking characters and different combinations. I loved seeing Bess Houdini in here as Houdini's sidekick, and the different card abilities that she had, and how she was really integrated into Houdini's deck. So it's a great homage to her and their relationship as well. So that's really cool. Thank you, Restoration, for doing that. That's all this week, friends. Happy breakfast.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Rear Window. Now, I don't really know too much about the film from 1954. It was a few decades, shall we say, before my time, but they have, Funko that is, have taken the sort of license and turned it into a deduction game with a bit of a twist. Now, this is a game that could be semi-cooperative or cooperative, and that's all dependent on if a murderer tile comes out. The director is placing these cards out onto the day boards, trying to sort of hint to the watchers, the people with the binoculars effectively, who is in each of the 4 rooms and a trait about them. But if one of them is a murderer, the director's not trying to give all of the information away. There's 8 things to get right for people for matching traits up to those people. If one of them isn't a murderer, well, you're trying to just get 8 out of 8. If you're not, the director's basically trying to get you to get 7 out of 8 and just throw you off a little bit. There's a few little ability sort of tiles that just mean you have a little bit extra of information to get out of the cards now and again. I really do enjoy this one. I just wish there was a variant that allowed you to play it completely cooperatively. Like you just say, there isn't a murderer tile, we're just going to play like a slightly easier, familiar game, and we're just going to work together, the director and the watchers, 100%. And I just wish it had that official variant, although you definitely can just do that anyway. But that is Rear Window. Good fun, but not everyone will like the sort of potential of semi-co-opness in there, and enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
What we do here is go back.
Time to kick it old school with old school games. Today,
That's
there
right.
was a game that Wendy was like, oh, we should do this for our old school game. I'm like, I know that. But then I played it, I'm like, man, this game is super good. So we played it again, was Reef. So Reef is a game by Emerson Matsuuchi and done by, is it Plan B or Next Move?
Yeah, it was.
Plan B Games.
Well, it says Next
They-
Move
they-
on.
They kind of switched up that company a little bit. with
They
that
did.
stuff.
They confused me for sure.
But it was made by that group of people. And but yeah, Reef is a game about like collecting different reef pieces, and each card lets you do 2 things. It lets you collect and put down reef pieces, but then also has a scoring condition on it. And you're drafting these cards and playing them out, and trying to figure out how to combo together what you're collecting and building along with what you're scoring, because it's all very like pattern building. So you're trying to build the correct pattern to get the correct scores. We also play with the fishy expansion where you had little fish that you could try to move to your things to get an extra point here or an extra point there. But yeah, what do you guys think about Reef?
I love Reef. I am just a champion of Reef. I think it's adorable. That's less adorable.
That
What
must
happened?
be a prototype, yeah.
Less adorable. Way cuter. Yeah, I love Reef because I really enjoy this concept of like you're planning ahead because you're trying to, you're choosing either to grab a card or play a card, but you can only ever have 4 in your hand. So you can't think too far in ahead. So you can't have those people that like massive mega turn it and are just like, ha ha ha, I planned everything from the beginning and bam, 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 bam. But you're just constantly filling that out. You're like, ooh, there's a card I want. I want to play this card now, but there's a card I want. And if I don't take that card now, someone else will take it. So, okay, fine, I'll take a card. And so sometimes you're just like all the way up to your hand limit. You're like, I got to play something now. And I still want that card. But then other times you're just sitting there with one card in hand. You're like, oh, please reveal a card that's useful for me because I have nothing left. I really enjoy that, like flying by the seat of your pants and trying to be super optimal while just kind of like going. It's fun.
I love one of those things, and Emerson does this in a ton of his games, is the turns are lightning fast.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing in this game. But then also the fact of like, first you have to place coral down, then you score. So it's kind of like, and almost always the core you're placing has no correlation to the scoring.
And
So
sometimes it messes you up for scoring.
And sometimes you have to be careful not to mess yourself up, like you said. And then you're trying to like figure out, it's like, okay, I need these, I'm placing them down for this other scoring card I'm playing, but this is currently for this part of my board which I'm scoring, you know, and figuring out how to combo that stuff together. It's not like immediate combos, but it's like comboing over turns.
Yeah.
But the turns come back around to you so quick. It's like, holy smokes. It's pretty fantastic the way it works.
Yeah, it's a game of sequencing. You know what I mean? Like, you got to sequence things in a way, like you said, that you're not messing yourself up and that you are setting yourself up.
Right.
But then not letting other people mess you up by grabbing that card in the middle that you want. One little mechanism I love in it is that you can grab from the 3 face-up there on the table or from the top of the deck. But if you grab the face-up one from the top of the deck, you have to pay a victory point onto one of those face-up cards.
Right.
And so you're sitting there going like, is that worth it for me? Because every point really matters.
Right.
And it's the lowest card, so it makes those cards that aren't worth very many points worth more points.
I mean, there was a time where you guys had put a couple points out there, and I'm like, I don't even really need that card, but I can kind of use it. I'll definitely take a couple points, though.
Yeah.
So.
And then one of the best things I think, too, that's easy to overlook is at the end of the game, any cards you have in your hand, since they have a scoring condition on the bottom, you can score that once. So if you have a very high point card and you're debating, well, do I play it in the middle of the game, or do I, you know, right near the end as a color of coral is running out, like maybe I'll just hold on to it because it'll be worth just as many points, and I'm going to play these other ones instead, and it kind of shifts the way that you play.
Yeah.
And I like when a game has a mechanism in place that forces you to think about how you're playing. It's not just rules for the sake of rules. It really does affect the game. I think that the Reef is a really good one. I give it a 7.5, and I don't know, I would probably still be around in that same zone, right? People in the chat have not been shy of pointing out, this is only from 2018, but I think it's easily forgotten.
I feel like like I messaged Emerson while we were playing this. He's like, people still play that game? I think it's like an underrated game. It's a game that like didn't get the hype it deserves just because it's so quick playing and so like easy to get to the table, and like it's just fun and tactile as you're playing it.
Do you have a score you think that you'd give it?
I would probably be right around there, like with that 7.5. But this is a game that I would love to like show to like my family and my fiance. This is a game that would be great to get out with more people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a 10 for me. This I just love. I would play this any day. Yeah, I'd play
It was
this
in our
any
top
day.
10, right?
Yeah, I just love this. Play it any day of the week. You want to play with me? Show up. I'll play with you.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, 2018, the golden days of Reef-based board games, depending on who you ask. But anyway, there you go. That's Reef.
Assalamu alaikum. The Dark Magician is a new module that is available for Legends of Andor base game. Now, these kind of modules have been available, or bonus expansion cards that are available have been available to the German audience long back. But sadly, Legends of Andor English support is not very good. But one of the user, Hurlius, has done is that he has made those cards available in English version so that you can print and add them to the game. Now, this Dark Magician cards specifically add to your Legend 3 of the base game. So if you add them to Legend 3, it is going to add a new side quest to the game in which the Dark Magician has bewitched the prince, and we know that the king loves his prince, and by making the prince in control, the Dark Magician can king bend to his rules. So that's why we need to make ward off this spell from the prince. So if you want to add more twist to your existing game, add more replayability, then get the Dark Magician cards from the BGG file section under Legends of Andor. That's it for me. Happy gaming.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today we're talking about the tiny epic Vikings from Gamelin Games. In this game, you are trying to collect as many runes as possible. You're going to get these runes by either A, taking over land and having the most influence there, or by winning in battle. So either way, you're going to fight for these runes. Once you've got them, that's going to be your victory points, and you're trying to appease these various Viking gods in order to make those points worth more, those runes worth more as a multiplier, belonging to those gods, and those gods also have special abilities rewarded to you as well if any of your soldiers die and go to Valhalla, which is great thematic. The more you die, the more stuff you get.
One of the things I really like with the Tiny Epic games is how they're able to limit the resources that you need for a game. So they always, and this game is no different, when they have a resource track, it's just represented by the items and it goes up and down. You're not actually gathering those items. And so I like that that's just one way that they limit how many bits you actually need for it, while also making the bits they do have in the game awesome.
I agree. The two-player rules are a little different, but it made it pretty perfect as far as you're drafting these cards. There's kind of an AI drafting with you, and there's also kind of some dummy players on the board, which is an area control, game. Two-player area control can be a little strange, but because they put these AI characters in there with them, it works out well. Now, there's also an expansion that you can get with the game called Ragnarok, and it also came with a mini expansion called the Shamans. Ragnarok basically allowed you to have these Valkyries, these stronger warriors coming out there and kicking butt as well, and the Frost Giants coming out from Jotunheim, wiping everybody out, worth a ton of victory points if you can kill them. But yes, this adds a lot more variety. I think that we are pretty much always going to pair Ragnarok with the base game to get the best experience, in our opinion.
I really liked this game. I enjoy the Tiny Epic series. I enjoy what they do with the little components. I think that he's a really great designer, and so I liked this one. It was fun.
All right, that's it.
That's it. Everybody, if you want to hear more from us, you can find us on YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Until then, this is Ryan. I'm Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right, let's hop into the time capsule. Let's unearth a time capsule here.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, there you go. That's the way it goes.
In the archives, we're looking at videos from just the Dice Tower past. I've stumbled across one from 10 years ago, Gamma Trade Show 2013. The title of the video here. Ooh.
Okay, what is he wearing?
What happened? Why am I gigantic in there?
I was wondering why.
Yeah!
Are those guitars?
Those are
Racing
things.
fetuses? I can't tell.
Racing things.
What is going on?
So the video is titled, What's Up with Kickstarter and the Board Game Industry? So Tom here was able to interview a bunch of different people from the Gamma Trade Show. This is 10 years, mind you, so some of these folks look a bit younger.
Names on this.
Yeah. It's fun to see some of the people in the industry that, maybe I recognize, maybe don't.
Game designer.
Game designer. And so you can see different people here from the industry talking about the impact that Kickstarter could possibly have on the industry back in 2013. And let me tell you, it's very quaint listening to some of these discussions here.
It fascinated me how much they they're concerned about the board game retailers. So the retailers are concerned about Kickstarter like ruining their shops, and then the publishers were concerned to create bad relationships with the retailers. So that was so interesting, because now it's just par for the course, right? We just accept Kickstarter now. But it's so interesting back then that there were some of these designers or the publishers that were like, I don't know if I'd ever do Kickstarter because I don't want to mess up my relationships with other publishers and other stores and things. And I was like, that's very interesting.
Stores,
yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, now it's part and parcel for the industry.
Yeah.
One of the people in the video here, Kurt Covert, right, from Smirk and Dagger Games, talked about like, would I ever do a Kickstarter? I don't know, right? It would have to be for something like really special, like really different. And of course, I'm not holding anyone's words from 2013 against them. Clearly, the industry has just shifted so much.
Made so many changes.
Yeah.
Like Kickstarter is such a big thing in the industry now, and like there's so many games that couldn't be made, in general, just because. And a lot of publishers like rely on it. They have to have the capital up front to be able to actually produce the game in general. And I do admire a lot of the publishers who make sure to still find a way to help get the like Kickstarter versions and things like that to the actual like game stores and things like that, so they can still sell them as well after. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, it's funny too, because some games just make sense really not to have a retail release. And I don't mean that in any sort of like snooty, I backed the Kickstarter kind of a way, but like imagine, I don't know, I think of a giant game like Oathsworn.
Right.
Like that would be hard if I was running a game store to decide to get a copy of that or not.
Right.
Or how many copies to get.
Right.
Because it's a great game, it's fantastic. Is it going to move?
So much storage, yeah.
And a lot of stuff too is like those games can't be made on the margins of third-party stuff a lot of times too. So it's like, oh goodness, it's very interesting. The games that Kickstarter has allowed to be created couldn't be created with the old method,
But Kickstarter usually has some sort of retail pledge level.
Right.
And so retailers can still get the games. They still have access to that stuff.
You can see in this video here a younger David Doust, who's now the co-CEO of CMON, Cool Mini or Not. And it's funny to hear him talk about, like, he's one of the guys in this video who's like all on board with it. I think that CMON might have had, back in 2013, they had run some successful Kickstarters. But then it was fun listening to this guy here, Grant Dalglish from Columbia Games, talking about how they put up a project of a reprint from a game from 1974. And in 2012, 2013, they had done a reprint for it, and it hit $14,000 in 4 days. And he's like, I've never seen anything like that before. It was great.
That's
so different
crazy.
From now.
That's
so different.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It just allows people who literally couldn't create like games before to be able to create games now. You know, it's like it's lowered the barrier of entry in some ways, but also like people expect those things to look good when they're on Kickstarter, So it's very interesting.
It's interesting because someone in here had talked about how they're like, oh, it's just a pre-order system. It's not new. This has been around forever. We've done pre-orders forever. But it is different. It is different, and it makes it so that people don't have to get a second mortgage on their house so that they can produce this game and then hope to sell it so that they hopefully can keep their house.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, well, and that was one of Kurt, right, Smirk and Dagger Games. One of the things that he said was that really jumped out to me in this video. He's like, when you have a game where you took out a second mortgage on your house in order to finance it, you're going to put everything you can to make that game like phenomenal, and you just sit there and pray that it does well in market. So he's like, yeah, it's a mixed bag where now someone can get that financing up front. They don't have to have that pressure. But also, is that going to affect the quality of games?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it hasn't gotten better since then.
Right.
There are still like just garbage games that go to Kickstarter. We see them on crowdsurfing almost every week. But at the same time, like you said, it does allow games that otherwise wouldn't have been publicly available to become perfectly available.
There's also garbage games that just show up in Target and never hit Kickstarter too, though.
Right.
So like stuff just happens.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know.
Anyway, yeah, a video I think that's worth watching. It is titled "What's Up with Kickstarter in the Board Game Industry." If nothing else, fun to see some of these maybe familiar faces, just a bit younger, than you see them now. So, including Tom Vassell himself.
Hey everyone, today on the Plastic Canvas we're turning Randar from Gatefall from this into this in just 2 minutes. Hey everyone, Matt here from the Plastic Canvas and welcome to today's episode of 2 Minute Mini, and today we're painting Randar from Gatefall. So the main thing that I want to talk about in this video is how much I enjoyed painting minis at this scale. Normal size minis in board games are usually either 28 or 32mm scale. That means it's 28 or 32mm from the bottom of a human's foot to their eyes. The minis in Gatefall, if we can still call them that, are 4 to 5 inches tall or about 100 to 120mm. So yeah, they're huge. One thing that I don't think I ever realised when painting normal size minis is how limited you are with the amount of contrast that you can get. This just basically means the difference between the darkest shadows and the brightest highlights. When painted minis are out on the table, it's this contrast that makes them look really cool because subtle shifts in colour can't be seen as easily when sitting around the board. So with smaller minis, you don't have a lot of distance to work with to transition from the shadows to the highlights, so you're a lot more limited with how dark and light you can go compared to bigger minis like Randar. At this scale though, the physical distance between where the shadows and highlights are is much greater, so you have more room to be able to transition between more colours. If you look at Randar's robe for example, I just wouldn't be able to go that light and dark with the purple on a smaller mini because there just wouldn't be the room to be able to shift between those colours. Also, because you've got the room to shift between more colours, you're able to get much smoother blends because those transitions are much more subtle. If you've painted minis at this scale before, I'd love to hear in the comments whether you prefer highlighting and shading at this scale or on smaller minis. And if you'd like to see the full version of this video where I go into all of this in more detail, then just head over to my channel, The Plastic Canvas, and I hope you enjoy your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are looking at Shake That City. Didn't know you were going to do that. This is a tile placement city building game by AEG. 1 to 4 players. Did we shake it up?
We did shake it up. So this is a new game. Basically, you are building your own little city on a board. So you get a board with a couple of little areas, and you're taking cubes. Well, you're taking a selection of cubes actually, and then taking tiles that match those cubes to build your city. The way that it works is you've got this little shaker mechanism that you build up out of cardboard, which works really well. Yeah, and you chuck in sort of, I think it's like 40 odd cubes. You shake them all up, all these different colours. You put it down on the table and press the little
push here,
shove thing, and lift it up. And there are nine cubes on the table and a little grid. And then basically you have to replicate whichever colour you take, you have to replicate that shape on your grid, and all the players have their orientation, their orientation the same. So you're all kind of held by that same sort of restriction.
The rules, yeah.
But when the player who shakes it takes their cube color, or they don't take the cubes, they take that selection and take the tiles. The other players can't choose that same color. So if you choose red, which is residential, nobody else can choose residential on that round.
Which brings in the tactics as well, a little bit, if you're going to stop other people getting what they want.
Yeah, and it's all about basically wherever you place your residentials next to factories, or factories next to roads, or shops next to residentials, that kind of thing. So you use your kind of city building for scoring mechanism, and then around the outside edge you've got some bonuses that you kind of try and reach.
Yeah. 4 shops in a row on a certain row. Yeah.
Very simple. Everybody just basically does the same thing, taking in turns.
Interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah, nice little game. We really like this game. The shaker works really well. It's kind of along the lines of Camel Up, that sort of thing, where you've got this sort of cube thing.
Or Boggle.
Boggle. But we like this game a lot. Very simple, very quick to play, straightforward, goes from 1 to 4 nicely as well. Recommend this one.
Yeah, we really like it.
Yeah. Did you like it a lot?
It was good.
You're a bit shaky on it? Check it out, guys. Shake That City. Our full review on our channel, so we'll see you on that one. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Mailbag time.
Mailbag, mailbag.
Mail. We got a question in, and let's see who from the letter gets to answer the mail.
I don't know where you're going here, Chris. I'm so lost.
Let's see who our mailman is for this week.
There you go. That worked.
What do we got today? Oh, what's this? Pass. What else we got? Oh, hey, a bill. Yes, Tom. No, I understand completely. Contractually obligated. I got it. Yes, I'll read the letter from Chris right now. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Tattletale. All right, let's see what this letter is from Chris at the studio there in Homestead. Oh, it's a letter from a viewer. That is a relief because I was really worried I was going to have to hear more about that rash. All right, let's see what this says. With different types of alcohol drinks, you can try a flight of drinks. For instance, a flight of Bloody Mary. Geez, where are you drinking? Or a flight of wine to see what you like. How would you craft a flight of board games? Well, that's actually a pretty good question, and all joking aside, Chris asked me to tackle this because, well, if you don't know, I've certainly had my fair share of alcoholic beverages. Now, usually when I'm crafting a flight, often at a brewery, I like to stay within a certain style of drink, so I'll usually do like a flight of ciders or a flight of stouts. But if you do mix up styles, then it becomes important to consume in the right order. You usually want to start off with those lighter, more effervescent beers like a lager, then move to the sweeter styles like your ciders or your stouts, and then move into the heavier, bitter, and often palate-confusing beers like a good IPA. And I think that can apply a lot to a board game. So maybe I'd start off with something light and refreshing like King Domino, then move up to something smooth and satisfying like Planet Unknown, and finish with something thick and mind-numbing like Horseless Carriage. Of course, if I had a choice, I'd go for a flight of space-themed games like Wormholes, Rocket Men, and High Frontier. The last thing I will add here is that my least favorite watering holes are the ones that give you a predetermined flight of beverages. I much prefer those establishments that let you pick the 4 or 6 different beers that you'd like to try. And I think that's something important to keep in mind if you're considering offering your friends a flight of board games. I'm Jeff, your tabletop technician here in the Dice Tower. Thanks for the question. Cheers.
Jeff, you're fired.
Also that rash, Chris.
It's better now, okay?
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad.
Tom sits on the space of the couch, so he'll have to worry next.
That's why I always sit on this solo chair.
We're not sharing gamers.
So, a flight of games. I thought this was an interesting question when it came through the Discord, and I thought, let's defer to someone who would know about crafting a flight of something.
Right, yeah.
I don't, and that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, for me, I know you mentioned this when in our conversation, but I thought of a meal, of like a 3-course meal. So I guess the thing is with a flight, I assume they're all little tastes, whereas if I were to compare this to a meal, you have like your appetizer, you have your big heavy thing, and then you have like your little dessert afterwards or whatever. So I would build it differently depending on what way I was looking at it. If it was a sampler of mechanisms, I'd find little light games. You know, here's your little engine builder. Here's your little worker placement. Here's your little, like, let's just see what kind of game that you like. Like, if we're doing that, then I would pick a bunch of little games that were short and sweet. We could play a ton of them in one evening. But if I were going for, like, let's have some, like, our starter, our main course, and our dessert, then it would be, like, light, heavy, light, you know?
I've totally done stuff very similar to this. I mean, I'm sure people have done this sort of thing, but not like on purpose, like trying to craft the games to work together necessarily. But a lot of times when I craft it based on like the people, like, okay, I know these people are coming over, I'll pull off games off the shelf and set them there, and like maybe even send pictures to them. I know when I've had Ruthie's friends over, I've been like, okay, I'm gonna get these games I feel like are intro games or lighter games that I know like will work good with that group. It'd be like games they haven't tried before and be like, oh, what do you think about these games, you know? And like go through those different games and play them. Be like, oh, well, which one do you want to chase now? I think with the flight, maybe you're supposed to try them in a certain order. But with this, I mean, I would normally be like, okay, we've done this one. Which one do you guys want to try next? You know, that sort of thing. And just kind of setting games aside that are kind of like, these are the games that are going to be for the night. And these are kind of going to be the ones like, okay, which ones would be best to play in which order, which is kind of cool.
I think, and I think that Jeff did a phenomenal job. He's rehired. I've made the decision here and now.
Chris,
So-
you have all the power when it comes to this breakfast.
Thank you. I think it would be fun to do something like a flight of a specific mechanism, and I think Jeff kind of
nice.
mentioned
Yeah,
that,
that's
right?
kinda cool.
Like it'd be fun for me to do like a flight of auction games, and I would do something like start with for sale, right? There's a good, quick, and easy one I think to get into. I would do modern art as the second one because modern art in and of itself is almost a sampler platter of 5 different types of auctions that you could do. I'd like to move into raw to kind of have like that bigger, exciting thing, and then I'd maybe end with a palate cleanser, something like the new Couture that we did the review of recently last week, I believe, because that's like a nice like wind down, simultaneous, very quick. It's less rambunctious than raw, but like it is, I think, a nice little note to end on, almost like a palate cleanser or a chaser, if I'm using the term correctly.
We'll do a flight of 4X games, but it's going to be a whole weekend, guys. You guys
That's a
better stick
binger.
around. You guys better stick around.
Oh man, I really like the question. I really appreciate Jeff having being able to have some expertise to
right.
share.
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. What would be more interesting for you guys? A like a themed night or like a mechanism based night?
I want a flight of sushi.
Well, I like mechanisms, but yes.
That's true.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go out for lunch.
Let's end the stream. Let's get sushi. I think that we're
And
done.
we're out.
It's not $5 Wednesday.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that has been another board game breakfast here on the Dice Tower. Later today, we're going to be doing. Oh, actually, this might be something to add to the auction game flight. We're going to be doing a live play, a Catch-A-Palooza of Amon-Re from
Yep.
famed designer Amon-Re Narcanizia. And so that'll be Catch-A-Palooza. We're going to play the game, and then we're going to have a discussion right there at the table right afterwards. Reviews are coming out this week, plenty. Race to the Raft, Mike is taking a look at that. Point City, the new flat-out AEG. Freelancers, the new Crossroads game that we did a live play of, so if you want to go watch that as well. Joey, Alex, and Camilla are going to do a non-CCGers approach review to Lorcana.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll appreciate that.
We're going to be reviewing Sky Team, several other games. We're going to be doing a pile of Phil Walker Harding games. We're doing another pile of series. Roy, do you know?
I'm doing the new Marvel Champions expansion, the X-Force expansion.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
that'll
right.
be fun.
Very cool. And then the top 10 list on Thursday, the live top 10 list is going to be the top 10 creature designs in games. Not monster games or anything, specifically creature designs. So make sure to go check that out.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, thank you so much to our contributors, to the contributors that you didn't even get to see, because we have so many good ones. There'll be a different flight of them next episode. So make sure to come back for that. Until then, my name is Chris Yee.
I'm Roy Kenny.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
Have a binger of 4X games.